All right, guys, as promised, here is some info and details for those of you who weren't able to make our meeting last weekend to try and give you at least a little bit of a feel for the walkthrough for the Oak Ridge facility. So, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, wes@crossbridgechristian.com, but I'll try and move through this stuff and give you a feel for what we're getting ready to walk into on December 23rd. First thing to let you know just where Oak Ridge is. Here's a little bit of a map. The address is 4530 Shelfer Road. It's on the south side if you know where the flea market is on Capitol Circle, kind of close to where St. Mark's Trailhead is. You can see obviously right there on the map. Those two circles actually represent spots when, as we walk in on Sunday mornings, we're going to place signs, our sandwich boards that look a lot like this, advertising that we're in the area. Here's a little bit of a look at the front of the property right here. So there are actually two entrances on Shelfer Road. There's one a little bit down from this that is like the main entrance. This is actually the staff entrance, and since it's not really marked or anything, obviously we want to make sure people know to walk in through or come in through this section. So we've actually gotten a few of these flags, 4 of them, that we'll put on 2 on each side of that entrance to make sure that people know where they can enter in at. And then here's kind of a look from the same spot, just looking back on it. We'll have some signs as well, like yard signs that we'll put up outside, inside the gates right there, pointing people toward the parking lot. Speaking of the parking lot, here's a few shots of that. This is probably the best like wide angle range I could get on it, but obviously you can see lots of parking there. You probably can't notice it so well right there, but there's a fence that basically forms like 2 different sections of parking. Talking to the staff, they said they can easily fit 75, 100 cars back there if they had to. So there's definitely plenty of spots for us to be able to welcome visitors and people as they come in. Here's another shot. You can see that fence a little bit more prominently in that picture. And yet another shot of parking lot stuff. As people walk in, one of the big differences between our current facility and where we're going at Oak Ridge is there'll actually be 2 entrances. So right here, this is in the parking lot, probably about, 50 feet away from where you'd park your car. You're seeing what is our main worship area entrance. So those double gates right there. And hanging next to those double gates, we're actually going to have a little sign that says this, so people will know immediately, oh, yeah, this is where I should go in, and that sort of thing, that we're just going to bungee cord to the entrance right there. Likewise, this is our kids entrance. For those of you who are on our First Impressions team, this is also a main ramp for handicapped or disabled people who may have a wheelchair or need some special assistance getting in. This will be the entrance for them as well. And denoting it's the kids entrance, obviously, just like the other sign, we've got one letting people know to head right this way. Going back to the kids entrance, it's probably not very easy to tell here, especially, I guess I can try and point here. But right here is like the main entrance that people will be using when they drop their kids off. We'll have a check-in sign on, I can't remember what side the arrow points on for the check-in sign, but wherever it is, so people will be able to see that, one of those retractable banners right there. It's all covered as you walk into check-in and even as you walk back from check-in to walk into the worship service. So it's, hopefully should be pretty user-friendly and easy to note. We'll have a check-in person stationed out here as kind of some human signage to really invite people to come over and be a part of that. Here's a look at check-in from the front, so you can kind of get a better view of that. Again, it's probably, I'd estimate, 20 or 30 yards, I'm not really sure, of a walk from that front gate right there to right here. So the way Oak Ridge's classrooms are actually set up is when you walk in, it's kind of like a pod. So they have multiple classrooms that are located in the same area right here, and this is the pod that we're actually going to be using. So as you look around, you can see there's plenty of space. Obviously, there's lots of stuff in here because we were touring during a school day. But as you can see, there's plenty of room and stuff in here for kids to put coats and that kind of thing. If parents have bags and that kind of thing, they can leave those here. And there's actually all 3 classrooms we're going to use are in this section. So one here, one here, and then one just out of the frame right here. There are 2 bathrooms in this pod, so kids can be entirely kind of self-contained right here. There's no need for them to be walking in or out of their classroom space, which is really great and really safe. And because we know it's a kids area, it also allows us to know pretty easily who should be in, who should be out, and to be able to keep folks safe that way. So one of the bathrooms is right here. This room right here actually has a bathroom inside of it, which will be very helpful. So just to give you a brief look at the rooms in here, again, as you can see, we were touring during the school day, so kids are in, playing around, that kind of stuff. But you can see these are really kid-friendly spaces, set up with kid-sized furniture and everything. They're very large, they're nice and colorful. Honestly, most of the setup I think we'll have to do in here is mostly just moving some stuff out of the way so we don't disturb it more than anything else. With chairs and desks in rooms, what that means is that we are basically going to have the ability to ditch a lot of the current supplies that we have to set up on a weekly basis for kids. And again, just a really great space here for kids to be a part of. This is also the room that had the bathroom in it, so you can take a look here at that. Got a little stool. It's like a kid-sized toilet in there, so all that's really great. Here's a look at the second classroom, which is the one that was right next to the more outdoor bathroom right there. And so you can take a look at that as well. Pretty spacious and nice area. And then lastly, this is the third room. Actually, I lied earlier. This is the one that's right next to that bathroom that's out in the middle of that pod of classrooms right there. But again, you can see very nice kid-sized area. Hopefully should be a really great place to have classes in. Moving into the worship area, again, here's the front entrance for that. I imagine for those of you on our First Impressions teams, we'll want to station one greeter out here, and then another greeter right around here, which is where the main entrance to the cafeteria is, which is what we're going to use as our worship area. I imagine right here is also where people pass out programs and that kind of stuff as well. Again, it's all covered as you're walking through, so you can get a good viewpoint of that. This door right here is where folks will enter in. Obviously, someone will be outside there welcoming folks in, which will be really, really great. I did not think to grab a nice shot of this, so this is from a few months ago when I was there for something else. Just wanted to capture a quick picture of what it would look like as you would walk into the room, and I'll give you a better look right here. So you can ignore the dimensions right here. I was taken for something else. This is from the front of the room. Where our stage is going to be. So these are the doors that folks enter in right there. If you can visualize this for a second, we're going to have some pipe and drape that covers this kind of cafeteria area right here, and also covers the sides of the walls here, so that way all the kind of lunchroom stuff is out of view. We have some extra storage for bins and stuff like that we want to keep out of view as well, that we can do all of that there. For those of you who are part of our cafe team, we're actually, back here is like a kitchen prep area that we can use for different things. Because we have so much room right here, we're actually going to be able to use that as a small seating area for folks with some stools and chairs and that kind of thing that they'll be able to use just to hang out before or after service. I imagine our cafe goods and everything will be located along this back wall here in the worship space, and hopefully it'll be easy to access for everyone. We're calling our connections area the hub. We have a big sign for that, and we're not exactly sure where that's going to go yet. I've been thinking about here. I've been thinking maybe right here, so I'm sure we'll experiment around with that as we settle into this new space and see what we think seems to work best. Here's kind of a different view, just from a different side right there. Again, here are the entry doors that folks walk in. This picture probably doesn't do it very good justice, but it's a nice and spacious area. Here's a look from the back at the stage area. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This door right here actually leads to a ramp into storage areas. We have one storage closet I'll show you later that's basically right here behind this wall, and another storage closet off to the side of the stage that's located right here. And then yet again, one other view of the worship space. So for us, one of the things we discovered when we lived in Northwest Indiana in the Chicago area, we actually set up and tore down each week at a facility kind of similar to this in an elementary school. And one of the things I actually discovered is with the stage, by having people on this platform, you just feel really like taken back basically from everyone and everything going on. And so we're actually going to have some stage pieces that we set up in here where we build an 8x8 stage with these little platform pieces that we'll preach from. Our worship team will be a part of, standing on, all that kind of stuff. We may have a few instrumental people back here potentially, depending on how many folks are on team on a particular Sunday. But right there, instead of using, obviously we don't have a big planetarium dome screen, but what we do have are some pretty large 55-inch TVs that are going to go on either side of the stage, projecting images and stuff, and those will be loaded onto a stand that will just crank up. So it'll go up to the right height where everyone can be able to see it, and should work pretty well that way. This is in the corner of the worship space. I'm just kind of showing you this door right here. This is the main entry door, is literally just out of view right here. This small door right next to it is actually leading to something that we're going to call the family room. And this is a picture of the family room. It actually doubles as a teacher's lounge for teachers during the week. You can see it's really nicely set up, an organized space. This room is going to be an area for moms who maybe would like to nurse their kids but don't want to do that like in the public area. So it's kind of nice and a little bit more secluded to give them some privacy. For parents who might have kids, they bring in the service for whatever reason, and kids just start being kids, are a little disruptive, and they just need a spot to kind of get them out of view for a little bit. They can come back here to do that. We'll have some audio from whatever's happening in service piped in here as well for them, so they're still able to kind of semi-participate in service even from back here. Here's just another view of the room. For those of you who are part of our cafe team, we aren't able to use the fridge and freezer in the cafeteria kitchen just because they'll have that locked and stored with all their food and stuff they'll use for food service during the week at the school. But there's actually a full-size fridge just out of view, like literally right here, where we can store grape juice and all that kind of stuff for people. Here's one of the bathrooms going through the family room. There are 2 single-use bathrooms, and then when we get to this picture in a little bit, I can show you where there's another 2 single occupancy bathrooms that folks can use. So we have a total of 4, basically 4 toilets that people can use during service, which should be plenty enough for folks as they walk in. But here's just a little viewpoint of what that'll look like. So again, kind of in relation to the room, the family room is back here behind this door. And again, there are 2 restrooms back through here, which will be noted. We'll have a directional sign right here pointing folks to those. There are also, in this lighted area, 2 more restrooms back here, and we will have restroom signage right here pointing people toward those if they need to use them. Again, here's a look at kind of the front of the stage. As I mentioned, there's a door over here that leads back to storage. There's also a backstage door that leads to storage, which I'll show you here in just a second. Here's a little bit of a look at the seating. So these cafeteria tables are on wheels, and they actually convert into seating for service. So Kane and I sat down on one of these benches and figured out that it would seat 4 of us easily, and we're pretty big guys, so maybe even 5 or possibly even 6 if you're super fit and trim or something like that. I don't know. But these seats convert fairly easily. We'll be able to use them as seating, and what I imagine, at least starting off, is we're going to set 2 of these next to each other to form basically a row, so a row of 8, and that will have 3 rows of these going back on either side of the cafeteria. So a total of 48 possible seats total for everyone. Any other stuff right here? Oops, sorry. So this starts to bring us to storage area. So this is the backstage storage, like just off of the stage. This picture really doesn't do it justice because it's way more spacious than it probably looks right here. These 2 tables are going to be moved out of our way. They just hadn't gotten to that yet. But this is storage space that will easily accommodate all of our trunks and large bins and that kind of thing for us to be able to store whatever we need back here. I imagine most of this will be storage for our worship team since it's right there on stage, so that way we don't have to move it a super long distance or anything. But of course, I'm sure we'll have quite a few other things that are stored back here as well. Another picture of that. As I mentioned earlier, so that storage area I just showed you is right here. Now I'm going to show you the storage area that's located just behind this door. There's a small hallway with a ramp that leads up through here and comes out back here. So if we ever need to move anything from this area of storage down onto the floor or outside for kids, we can certainly do that pretty easily. But behind, as this hallway starts, right behind the store, there's a second set of doors, and one of those spaces is going to be for use for us as well. So here's a look at that. Again, the picture doesn't really do it justice. It's a pretty large space, as you can see. Feels pretty conducive to like those taller bins that we have. There's a shelf right here that we can use to store. I was thinking maybe some curriculum supplies or signage or something like that that we can put down here and use pretty easily. Any kids supplies we need to move from here over to the kids area. It's a pretty short distance walk. It's all covered and it's all paved sidewalk, so it's very easy to get in and out with whatever materials we need as we bring stuff to different places. So, and then lastly, this isn't very good. I don't know why ProPresenter has flipped it on us, but you can take a look at that. This is basically that ramp I was telling you guys about earlier, to kind of show you the pathway both from the back of the stage up to the worship area. So that is my very quick viewpoint of our walkthrough at the Oak Ridge facility. Hopefully that was at least somewhat helpful to give you an idea of what things look like and what you can expect. So if you have any questions, again, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. We want to help shepherd everyone through this transition as well as possible, and make sure you aren't walking in feeling super surprised or anything, or at least more than you have to when we move in. Again, our first service is going to start on December 23rd at 10:30 a.m., and then we have Christmas Eve happening at 6 p.m. the next evening. One of the cool things about moving in right now is for the first 3 or 4 times we meet until I think January 6th, we're actually going to be able to leave all or most of our things up because school's out of session, and so they won't be using the cafeteria for any after-school programs or anything because they won't have school. So anyway, we are definitely excited about the move and excited to get this going, and hope you are too. Thanks for watching, guys.